Okay, it is Saturday, May 31st, 2025, and I thought I'd do a little bit of an orchard update since I hadn't done one in a while. Starting off here, we have this is just an apple tree that I grew from seed. I had grafted onto it or attempted to, it did not take, so I'm just letting it grow out again. I might just let this one actually stay grown from seed apple and see what I get from it. Plus, if it's a crab apple, they're better pollinators than normal apples, and I need all the pollination I can get on these trees. Same thing with this one here. It's one that I tried to actually graft, and it didn't take. But hey, you know, sometimes you win some, you lose some. This is a multi-grafted Red Delicious apple tree here. So the main tree, Red Delicious. This one here with the aphids on it. Ooh, and a wasp. Go away, wasp. Shoot. Is a Black Oxford apple variety here. I don't actually have the varieties labeled on up here that I grafted on 2 years back, but I believe they're New York varieties, so they're a little bit colder, but they're actually pretty good. I would have had a pilot apple grafted onto this, but it got taken out by fire blight, so that's kind of sad. You can see it's a little graft tag there. I left it, and then these might be hard to see if it actually focuses. Let's see if this phone's a little better. Use my hand as a background. So these right here are fruit buds. This is a fruit bud. This is a fruit bud. Right here's a fruit bud. Right here's a fruit bud. So maybe my Red Delicious will actually flower and fruit next year. So I've had this tree for 4 years. It's the oldest tree I got, and it has only flowered one time 2 years ago, and very little bit. Otherwise, it hasn't flowered at all. Get some of these dead leaves off. This is a really nice fruit bud right here starting to form. There's another one. Bunch of fruit buds on this. And then here's one that the rootstock I grew from seed, and this up here is another variety that was the first year I was grafting. I didn't think, oh, let's get grafting tags. I should have gotten grafted tags, but it's actually putting on some decent growth this year, and it has some potential fruit buds for next year, so that should be good, hopefully. This is a Pink Lady apple tree at the base of it. I grafted this on last year. This is a Cherry Crush apple. It got hit by fire blight earlier, so I had to cut some of its branches off, unfortunately. It's a very flat grower. It grows very flat, as you can see. Like, there's no real upward growth with it. It's all flat. So this is out flat, which is kind of concerning for when it actually gets apples on it, but I'll have to cut it back a little bit this year and see if I can get it to behave. This here is another graft from that first year I grafted on that I do not know what type it is, so hey, it'll be a surprise if it actually ever fruits. It has been absolutely hammered by fire blight this year. I've been cutting off so much. This is what all this is new growth here from where I cut this whole this branch right here. Went up way further than this branch. It was up, you know, it was about this high here compared to where it is now, and I had to chop all that off because every little growth off of it was getting fire blight. So it's just like, well, that's unfortunate. Here's another graft that I did 2 years ago, or 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago, that hasn't flowered yet, but goodness gracious, it has really healthy growth on it this year. It's got some good side branches growing off of it. That's a fruit bud there, a really nice mature fruit bud, so that should set fruit next year if we can get the pollination. Also, one more thing on this Red Delicious tree here, I almost forgot. I do have another grafted variety on here that, ooh, yeah, this is actually getting kind of tight on here. I might need to adjust this tag and loosen it up a little bit so it doesn't get girdled. But here is Emberwine apple here. It actually, if you go in and look, this got messed up pretty gnarly last year, and that was from actually cicada damage. I thought it had gotten some sort of fungus and I was going to have to cut it out, but no, it's just cicada damage. So I was just like, okay, well, whatever. I kind of wonder, because the same thing is here on this branch of the I don't know if you can see or not. I can't even see my screen. Of the apple that I grafted on 2 years ago that's had fire blight this year. I actually wonder if that's where all the fire blight's been getting in, but you know, it's whatever. This side of the tree is a mess. Oh my gosh, there's a late season flower there. That's surprising. I had to watch that for fire blight. And that's just on the end of a branch. Randomly put a flower out. Okay, all right, that's fine, that's cool. Things you find when you're doing videos, I guess. This is a grafted variety. It's growing great. That's a lot of growth out here. I want to cut. This is, I think it's also a Catherine. Let me look. Yeah, it's a Catherine apple, so same as that one over there. But it's gonna have to be, you know, cut back pretty hard this year. Hopefully generate some outgrowth, but I have to do something this this fall when it comes time to actually prune this. I have to actually go through here and actually prune this out pretty hard, because it's just overgrown in here compared to the other parts of the tree. And you don't want it to get that overgrown, because that will actually cause it to not get sunlight down to the core of the tree. And if it doesn't have sunlight onto the core of the tree, then you will not get flowers to form. You won't get fruit buds to form. They will die. There's actually a ton of fruit buds on this part of this pink lady here, so I definitely don't want to cut that out. Over here, this one is a bit of a sad story. This mass here is actually rootstock suckers that's left over from a Arkansas black apple that I had. It got hit pretty hard with fire blight, and it actually also had an issue where I took a string trimmer and was trying to cut out the grass around it, because, you know, it's a young fruit grower then, and I actually girdled it a good bit, like 3/4 of the way around, so I ended up just cutting that out. But if you notice beside it here, I put in this base here is grown from seed, and this graft that took here this year, this is a new graft that took this year, is an Arkansas black apple. So hey, you know, hopefully that'll grow to replace it. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with this rootstock. I'll probably dig it up at some point and actually move it somewhere else, maybe to the backyard. We'll have to see. But it's, you know, it's got a decent amount of growth on it for a rootstock. And then we have one here I tried to graft onto. It did not take. If it had taken, it would have been a winter banana apple. But I actually got 2 of those already, so that I grafted this year. So that'll be kind of nice. This is a new Red Delicious that I bought at Walmart this year. And then it had really good structure on these branches here, but they're really long and lanky, so I cut them back. You see there's a little bit of heat damage on here. That's not fire blight, that's just heat damage. But my hope is by cutting them back, they'll thicken up, and then I'll be able to cut them kind of, you know, these little side branches, lateral branches here, cut those back a bit, and be able to get some fruit buds to pop on them this year. Maybe not this year, but if not this year, then next. And of course the top's actually going pretty well. It was actually growing pretty well from Walmart. You can see it was a whip and tongue graft here. Here's the graft union for it. But I got it too because I was like, that Red Delicious has never fruited. So I was going to see if it was just that tree, or if it's just Red Delicious need many more chill hours than we get here in Alabama. But I will say, we had over 1,000, maybe 1,200 chill hours last year, so we should have gotten, you know, fruit on it this year. I don't know if it just didn't have enough nutrients or what, but hey, you know, hopefully it'll fruit next year. This tree here is a Golden Delicious tree, and it is as you can see, one of my poor trees that does not want to stay upright. It actually was on this this stake here, but as you can see, it pulled the stake back, and so I had to actually go through and put this bigger stake on here and hold the tree back. So this one just have a couple grafts on it this year. It also has never produced fruit as of yet, but I am working on fixing that. So first off, we have a Bite Me apple here. So we're going to be trying to get that to grow out this year and see how it does. Have a little bit of heat damage here on this. You can see that just peels right off. That's all heat damage. And then on this back end here, we have a little bit more of a graft. It's another Arkansas Black that I did this year. This part of it's grown out pretty well. It had some more growth that it tried to put on here, but it was trapped inside the actual wrapping, grafting tape wrapping. So I had to actually cut it off. So these little side shoots didn't really get a lot of energy, and so they fell off. But otherwise it's pretty good. There's another graft here. This was done last year. This is a Honeycrisp apple here, so that's pretty cool. And then we got a couple of, looks like maybe fruit buds for the Golden Delicious setting up here. I'm sure there's more on here that I'm just not seeing right now. It's got a lot of tall growth on there that'll need to be cut back a little bit this year, just because I don't want the tree to get too tall. But yeah, it's not bad. Here we have an apple that was grown from seed on the rootstock. I grafted it 2 years back. It was one of the other ones that I grafted. I grafted this on. And look at how much growth. This was just a little tiny twig, no bigger than this up here. And I grafted onto it. And it's grown so well. The graft looks well. I'm actually letting this grow because I want to see if I can get what the original from seed variety off of it. But I have a really good graft here. I had to cut it back a decent bit last year because it was actually, I don't know if it's brittle or what, but the actual branches were breaking in certain spots, so I just had to, fix that and cut it back, and it's come back pretty well, I will say. But yeah, I grafted on this one little guy here. It's hard to see that it actually even exists. Actually, there's a fruit bud on the bottom of it. But this is a lemon pippin graft here, so that'll be lemon pippin apple. On the back over here, I have a different graft onto it. You can see the difference in the leaves. This is that variety. This is this variety. And this is an Anis Renette. I always mispronounce that. Anis Renette apple. So it actually looks really good. It's actually grown a lot this year. Here's another apple that I grafted on 2 years ago. You see, it's not grown as much, but it's also in the variety that wants to fall over. It's being held up by that string. And it has been hit pretty hard on these branches over here. That's why it's kind of missing a bunch over here. It was way more filled in, and then it got hit by fire blight pretty hard. So I cut this back. It's starting to actually push a little bit here. This is pushing again here. Some new growth here is starting to push out. Hopefully that doesn't get fire blight. A lot of growth starting there, so hopefully that doesn't get fire blight, but we'll have to see. Moving over this way, this is the same variety that I was talking about over there that's really flat. You can see it's still over here on its own tree. It grows really flat. Cherry Crush, which apparently is pretty prone to scab. That's what that is. So I tried spraying it, but the scab's just spreading on it. Who knew? Here we have Honeycrisp apple that I grafted last year onto from seed rootstock, and it's slowly growing. It's actually put on a lot of decent growth. It's been hit a couple times by deer. A lot of these trees here have been hit by deer, and so they are not as tall as they could be or should be. Here's a graft I did this year, and if you compare that to that guy, it's about the same size, and I did that last year, so hey, whatever. But then again, this root here, I used to have an area in here full of grapes and like a couple of just apples I grew from seed that were in pots, and it stuck a root down into the ground, and I couldn't get it without breaking the pot, so I tore the root off. But the root actually took, and it sent out a sucker here. And I've tried grafting multiple times off of this, just with no success. And then finally this year, it finally took. And you can see how much energy it had in it. It shot off a lot. And this, I think, is another Arkansas Black. No, it's not Arkansas Black. Where's the? It's a pink lemonade apple. I know that I have another Arkansas Black somewhere around here, but that's a pink lemonade there. This is my multi-grafted pear tree. I got 3 different varieties, grafted on two branches each for them. So this here hasn't fruited yet or sent flowers out. This definitely needs to be. It's real tight. The actual thing here. This is a Flemish Beauty on this side. This branch here, which has a ton of fruit buds, so it will fruit less next year, I think is a D'Anjou pear. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this also, ooh, wow, it's actually grown over that. That's not good. I need to take that off before it girdles it. But this is a D'Anjou pear as well. Another Flemish Beauty. And then this is Bartlett. Oh, no, sorry, Flemish Beauty. And there's 2 Bartletts right here and here. And I don't know if it's actually still growing or not. I think it is. Looks like it is, but there is a Bartlett pear there. So, hey, there's that. And then coming over here, we have another Golden Delicious. You can see it has really good structure. In fact, it actually is putting a couple fruit buds on right there. Move this over here. But yeah, it looks pretty good this year. We're kind of in a period where it stops sending out more leaves right now. All of them have. I think they've done their initial flush of growth and they're done. If you look up here, you can actually see that is a bit of cedar apple rust. And it should maybe fruit next year. I don't know. It's got enough fruit buds. And then I tried. This one was out. This is a really good branch too here on the bottom, and it was out really far along. So I cut it back to hopefully spur some new growth and thickening like I did on the others. But it's got really good structure. I'm happy with it. We'll see if I graft on anything next year. Oh, there's another spot of cedar apple rust. I just sprayed, so hopefully a week ago, so hopefully it doesn't get worse. This guy is sitting where a crepe myrtle used to be, and it likes to put up a lot of there's still crepe myrtle roots down there, and it likes to put up a lot of or try to put up a lot of crepe myrtle growth. So I have to keep pulling that out. But anyway, this is multi-grafted. It's got 2 grafts on it. This apple tree I've had going for a while. In fact, I think this apple tree, it was the one that was sitting right there on that one that I was talking about earlier that grew from a sucker. So I think I just planted it over here. But I chopped a lot of growth off of this. This had a ton of extra growth over here on the side because I didn't want it to compete right here. And as you can see where this chop mark is, it would have eventually, one of these would have broken in the wind or something like that. So it's putting a little growth there. That's fine, whatever. But yeah, this variety here is Pink Pearl. And this is a variety I grafted on this year. And that is Pink Lemonade. So a good apple variety there. This is another one. This was actually a rootstock here is actually from the tree that was over there. It's from the Arkansas black apple that used to be over there. And that big mass, I cut one of the suckers off with a bunch of the roots, and then I grafted on. This is a winter banana, and I guess it gets its banana name from all the spots that are on the actual tree here. It's actually pretty cool. They all are really neat looking. So, yeah, really neat looking. This one is one I grafted last year. Let me see if I can see. I think it's Queen Cox. But let me see. See, this is why we have to do it. This one is also a pink parfait. Why we have to sit there and put an actual tag on it, because I'll forget which is which. One of these is Queen Cox over here. But yeah, it's got pretty good structure on it. And this one here is a Liberty apple tree, and it has a single graft on it. And that is, where's the tag? It's a pink pearl. So this branch here is pink pearl. But it has 3 apples on it currently. So trying to keep those from getting hit by bugs and growing those out, but they're actually doing pretty well. Then let's come over here and look. Got another. This had hit a fire blight on it right here, so I cut that off, and it's starting to regrow. These two were all grafted at the same time. I had a video on them last year in February. Let's see here. There's a little bit of growth. Get that out from around the base of the tree here. Okay, and the tree itself is this is the Queen Cox here. So that's a Queen Cox apple. And this is another pink lemonade apple here. So that's the front yard apples. Let's move on to the peaches. Here is the little peach tree that, in the video back in February of 2024 was about that tall, but it's up to here. It's not growing as vigorously as its siblings over here, but it's doing pretty well. And then here we have my big producer here. This is a white peach tree. It's got plenty of peaches growing on it right now. I've already ate 5 or 6 peaches off of it, so it's doing really well. Here is another peach. It has a couple on there, but they're not close to ripening, so that's a very early ripening variety of peach. Oh, there it is right there. There's one. So yeah, it had a lot more, but they fell off because it's still kind of young. And then I forgot, there's one more apple. So this is this used to be a Granny Smith apple over here. It got hit really hard with fire blight, died. And this is a rootstock sucker that was off of it. And so now this is going to be a Florina apple tree here. This is one of my nectarines grown from seed. It's doing pretty well this year. Got a lot of shot hole damage on it this year, so I'm going to have to spray copper fungicide in the fall once it starts to drop its leaves. This is one of the peaches I bought from Walmart 3 years ago. Yeah, same here. I think there's some peaches somewhere on it. I haven't really looked through to see where they are in a while. I know this one here there's a nice peach. This is yellow peaches here. Those two are white peaches. And then this will be a yellow peach here too. It actually has a peach. It's got some scab on it, but it's not bad. You can eat them with scab. Just gotta take the skin off. But yeah, this one was. This is actually a child of that tree right there. So I got a peach off of it 3 years ago. Ate the peach. Planted the seed here. It grew, and so now this peach tree is here. And then last but not least in the front yard, we got 2 other nectarines. So I don't know how long this nectarine here will actually last. It looks really good right now, but it's actually got a bad split right there, and it's got some fungus or something growing in it. So I'll have to take care of that. So that wraps this video for now. This is about 25 minutes long. I don't have time to edit it or editing software to do it, but I was just testing out my new phone and it actually seems to work pretty well. But I'll put up part 1 and then let me go record part 2. All right, see you later. Bye.